Well, the Burj Dubai Tower opened today. It's getting renamed, but it's also setting the record as the world's tallest building. But does the unveiling of Dubai's high-rise precede a steep fall or further fall ahead for the economy and financial well-being in the region? Here to tell us why we may have just skimmed the surface here of Dubai's debt woes is Masud. He's head of research and senior analyst of real estate at UBS. He's there live in Dubai. World's tallest building and possibly world's biggest restructuring in 2010, Saud?
Well, it's the irony of ironies, really. 2 weeks ago we were talking about Dubai Inc. Essentially looking at potential defaults on its debt, and now we're talking about the tallest man-made structure ever built. So clearly been quite a ride, but quite ironic as well, because both are related to primarily real estate ventures.
Now, we heard earlier today from Mohammed Al-Abar, the chairman of Emaar Properties, and he said, sure, maybe there was some excess, but the lessons have been learned. Everyone goes through this as they get through development. I'm really paraphrasing him there, but he seemed to be trying to set the stage to say, this is behind us. Is it?
Well, I think you can argue, whether the worst is behind you or not. But look, I mean, clearly we've seen these type of cycles elsewhere in the world. History tells us that these cycles are not short. They last multiple years, maybe even 5 to 10 years, and we're only a year into this down cycle. And if we conform to the school of thought that the worst is behind us, what's still left on the table is quite a lot to digest, whether it's leverage, whether it's oversupply, whether it's the fundamental risk to the Dubai model. A lot is still out there that needs to be looked at and examined very closely.
You're still forecasting that, 30% of real estate there's going to be unoccupied in the year ahead. Who's going to be out there to sop up some of that excess real estate? Who's coming in? Who are you seeing there in Dubai possibly shopping?
Well, I think that's the question, right? I mean, if you try to look at why we're getting that oversupply, we're really getting it because fundamentally we believe that there's going to be population net outflows. So there's not only going to be oversupply coming from an existing pipeline of handovers, but also from potentially some folks leaving the region, and many of them are really levered to the real estate story. So I think net of that, you get an excess oversupply of about 30% on the residential side. Just kind of punctuate that on commercial, we're already at 40% vacancy rates. So the problem is pretty significant, and it will likely has likely not peaked yet.
Hi, Saud, it's Francine from London. What's the feeling in Dubai about the tower? Is it the big white elephant that nobody wants to talk about in relation to these debt troubles?
Well, people I've talked to today, and even some investors, they want to take this day and just relish the moment that they can claim the tallest man-made structure and really celebrate that more than anything else. Some have said it's been 700 plus years since Middle East has really laid claim to the tallest man-made structure. Prior to this was the pyramids of Giza. So I think people are really taking this day off and not really thinking too much about the fundamentals of the economy or where we're going with this. I think in reality I think we will have a more sober view of the market in 2010 because fundamentally I think the numbers are going to start really sharing with us what the risk levels are, especially with the banks and some of the developers taking up provisions for non-performing loans.
If Saud, this took a long time in the making. If such a decision about building the largest tower would be taken now, do you think Dubai would take the same decision?
The quick answer is no. I think this was one of those efforts that was conceived several years back, and this was one of those projects which was too big to be delayed. We always talk about too big to fail. This is one of those too big to be delayed projects, and clearly if the economy was relatively softer a few years back, I doubt that this level of venture would have been undertaken. If you look at other projects which are relatively large, most of them have been either postponed or canceled. So we're living in a very different economic time now.
Saud, it's Margaret again. I want to ask you, there's been much made in the U.S. press about pressures by the United States to crack down on any kind of corporations doing business with Iran. And the question of Iranians doing business in Dubai keeps coming up, and speculation there that perhaps Abu Dhabi would be discouraging Iranians from coming and doing business as they continue to lend money to Dubai to help bail it out. What are you hearing on that front? Is there pressure to push Iranian funds out of Dubai?
To be honest with you, though it's outside of the scope of my special expertise, but Iranians make a large portion of the Dubai's population. It's more than 10% of Dubai's population. They own more than 10% of the residential property as well. So Iranians have a significant impact to Dubai. There's all this talk about political implications from this fallout. I think it's too early to say as of now, how this is going to play out. But, I think there's definitely some political undertones or tensions, if you will, that could dictate how, the relationships between the various countries play out over the next few years.
Thanks. Saud Masud, thank you so much for being with us. Saud Masud there of UBS. Well,